Hello and welcome to A Knitting Dragon. My name is Jessica, also known as Iekikadragon on Ravelry. Speaking of Knitting Dragon, I'm seriously considering changing the name to Fiber Dragon, just because I do more than just knitting. I do crochet and occasionally I branch out into other things, but not really. But you know, just feels more honest, especially since my dragon is crocheted and I'm planning to make more and those are also crochets. So I don't know, let me know what you think, if you think Fiber Dragon works or if I should just keep it. Anyway, happy July. Let's just get into the good stuff, right? Because that's why we're here. So my flirt skirt, let's talk about that really fast. I am keeping that off of camera for now. I did talk about this last week. All that's left is sewing the hem. I was not able to do it this week because of the pain in my shoulder. It just wasn't working out. So, well, my arm starts in my shoulder, goes to my arm. So I think what's going to happen is I will keep it off camera. I promise I will show you when I finish it because I am going to finish it. But this is going to be possibly, depending on management of pain, a long haul type thing. I can only do a few stitches at a time. So I'm just going to keep that on off camera because there's no reason to continue talking about it. We're just going to leave it at that, but I promise I'll show you once it's all complete. But excuse me, that does bring me to, I have a finished object for you today. That's right, I completed my Campfire cardigan by Jess Coppom. This was on my needles for 24 days. I finished it this past weekend. Ta-da! I'll put up a picture over here showing it kind of laid out. It's not the best picture in the world. Okay, so let's talk about this. Pull yourself together. What is happening? All right, here we go. There it is. Ta-da! Okay, so I did use Yarn Bee Sugarwheel cotton yarn in the color Neptune Haze. I did look, it is 100% cotton. I pulled this yarn from the stash, from my stash. It was originally supposed to be in a different project. That project fell through and I didn't want it just sitting in the closet. So here we go. I don't like, personally, I love looking at other people's large stash, but I don't like having one. It makes me feel cluttered and crowded. So I try to get things out, and I already have too much in stash, so I'm going to be working mostly from stash, which is good, all things considered. Anyway, I say that, but I did get an acquisition this week. Anyway, so I finished this. Oh, there's so many connections. It was supposed to be in my dad's blanket. I did play quite a bit of yarn chicken with this because I only had, for my previous project that it was allotted for, 3 skeins of it. Now I had gone to Hobby Lobby where I had purchased it. They no longer sell this yarn. So I could have ordered more online, but I just didn't want to. Like, I would like to use up the stash and not get more. So I played yarn chicken, and this is all that I have left. 6 grams left. That's it. I think that's great. I might start like a little yarn ball stash and connect them all and just make a scrappy something, but I'm on the fence about that because that would just be a lot of gathering. So we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll do that. 6 grams left, not too shabby. But let's talk about the modifications that I made. First of all, I did not make this the length that it was intended. I believe the length goes down to like mid-thigh is what I was seeing in most pictures. Mine just goes down just past, you know, your like pants waistline, kind of resting on just below that, like resting mid bum. Also, the hood had quite a few more rows in it. I shortened that down. I have a little peanut head. And it does look pretty. A lot of people did the full length and have smaller heads, I think, too. There is a lot of slouch in the hood, But because I was playing Yarn Chicken and because I didn't really need it, I didn't do the full amount. So I shortened it, I believe, by like 8 rows because it's crocheted flat. I didn't know if I was going to have enough yarn for the edging, but I did. You go around the whole thing except for the sleeves once, and then you go around the hood twice. So that's why there's the white that matches the rest of the edging, and then there's an extra little light brown, which I think is cute. And I also did not go the full length of the sleeves. The sleeves are originally designed to go down to your wrist, and I kept them 3/4 length because I just was more comfortable with that. And Yarn Chicken. But when I originally made that choice, I didn't know that I was playing Yarn Chicken. So I am absolutely in love with this. I would love to make a full-sized one at some point, but this makes me incredibly happy and it's done. So hurrah. What else can I say about this? That's about it, I think. I did put this on my Ravelry. I made hideous notes on it. Like I was like, yep, shorten the hood, shorten the sleeve. Like I made horrible notes, but just so that way I knew it was modified. I enjoyed this project very much and it worked up very quickly. As far as, because nobody talks about this, as far as the mattress stitch, the ends, I ended up just weaving them in and kind of tangled them in to the crochet stitches, which in the grand scheme of things you can't really see. Obviously I can because I know what I'm looking for and where it's at, but when it's on, even back here, not that noticeable, it's fine. So that's what I chose to do. I got really unclear information what you do. Like there was a lot of videos on how to mattress stitch, but what you do with the ends, nothing. So that I saw, of course I didn't research too much. I was like, I don't have time for this. So I ended up just weaving them in, but I did look, and I also saw someone else had that complaint as well. So if you like to make video content about tutorials and stuff, there's a niche that needs to be filled right there. Not a huge one, but it's there. So yeah, in love with it, happy it's here, happy to wear it in the air conditioning because the air conditioning is getting quite cool because it is intensely hot outside. So I started going for walks in the morning, and I usually go pretty early. Like I said, I'm an early bird, I'm up early. So I've been going at around 6:30, 6:45 is when I head out the door. And I don't know if this is true or not. I asked my husband the distance of the loop that I've been doing because I've been feeling better walking. Not better in my shoulder, but better walking. And so he said he thinks it's a mile, which is longer than I thought it was. So yay me. Anyway, it's intensely hot. It's muggy. And then as soon as you get inside in the air conditioning, it feels freezing. So I'm so glad that I have this. I went for my walk later today and I thought I was gonna faint because it was so hot. That's not true. That's an exaggeration. I didn't really feel like I was going to faint. That's me exaggerating. But it was warm and uncomfortable. Stick to my early mornings. But I wanted to walk with my husband and he is not an early bird, so I did it later. Oh boy, ooh, too hot. All right, so now for my whips. I have my Mantis Shrimp Socks, which I finished the first one. I did do this on my storied knit this week. I realized when I was doing the storied knit, my Mantis Shrimp was still up here, so I had forgotten to move the progress keeper. So I estimated on how the best that I could remember where it was at. I know that I was talking about these stitches last week and how it separated out right there. So I put it after that. It may not be exact, but it's close. So I finished this. I was working on the toe on a storied knit, got that done. And then I started on this. So these have been on my needles for, oh gosh, 16 days, which is longer than normal. And like I said, I really was hesitating working on these because I didn't want to not be working on such. I still have to laugh about that. So I just plunged, and oddly, I kind of ran out of knitting projects because I wasn't working on the flirt skirt. I had my Campfire cardigan and I had this, and I was like, well, so this was all I had to knit on. So did start progress on it again, and every time I'm working on these, I just love these colors. They just make me so happy. So I was working on these at the swimming pool again, and this little girl came up. She's the cutest thing, asked me what I was making. I told her some socks. She asked me if I could make her some socks. And I explained, oh, it takes a while. I don't think that would be possible. So she asked me some questions, asked me to show her how to knit, which I showed her the purl stitch and the knit stitch, and then she lost interest because we were at the swimming pool. The girl wanted to go swimming. So I thought it was so sweet that she showed so much interest. But anyway, it was just sweet. So the next day we went, she was back again. I think she's visiting family here in the neighborhood. And she came over and she said, "You are really cool." Oh, come on. It was the sweetest thing ever. It just made me so happy. So I told her I thought she was really cool too. She went off. She asked a couple more questions about the sock because obviously it was shorter than when she had seen it before. And then she went on and started swimming. So it was just adorable. It was a very happy memory that I will attach to these very happy socks anyway. So using VK yarns in the colorway Peacock Mantis Shrimp, and I am loving them. So here's, you know, they're part of a series, and I finished 3 already, and I have started wearing those socks when I go for my walks, and they are doing a great job. I do notice, like with anything, they're gonna like, they felt up a little bit, and it's just the teeniest, tiniest amount in the main spots where your foot rubs in your shoe, like the heel, the pad of your foot. And it's not bugging me. It makes it almost softer and smoother. And they're holding up really well. They stay up. They do not get bunchy or slouchy. I've worn them a couple times. I am about to toss them all into the wash. I think what I'm going to do is use one of those little mesh net bags, toss them in there and put them on the gentle cycle because I do not have time to be hand washing everything, especially socks. That's the reality of it. I love them. I love the colorways. I will be devastated if they get ruined because of it, but that's the reality of it. I just don't have time. I mean, that is not the priority for my time. I have the time. That is not where I'm placing that priority. If you want me to be real. So, all right. I just realized my chair is squeaking. Sorry if that's coming through. All right. I did get something else on. Those are my Peacock Mantis Shrimp Socks. I mean, I think we know enough about them at this point. Gotta give this guy a little shout out from JoJo's Art Studio. Whoa, boing, boing, boing. Okay, so I told you I got an acquisition and how the connection is pretty awesome. So I was working on the Campfire cardigan that was previously allotted for my dad's blanket. I got the yarn in for my dad's new blanket. I got myself a kit. Look, I love pre-made kits that come with the patterns and come with the yarn. Just takes that little bit of thinking out for me, and it's just all there in one package. So I'm gonna put up a picture. I'd already taken out 1 ball of yarn. I'll put up a picture of the yarn bag. It just made me incredibly happy, this just bag of yarn. Anyway, I will be making Mary Maxim's Infinity Blanket. Isn't that pretty? This, I was supposed to warn my dad. Maybe I'll put a little sign up early. Hey Dad, don't watch this part if you are watching. If you don't want to ruin the surprise. Whoops. So here we go. Isn't it pretty? I think it's gonna be great. I'm making it for my dad. It's technically for last Christmas and his birthday. What can you do? So I did, this will have been on my hook for 5 days now. I did get it right after we filmed. I spent a couple days, well, I spent a day futzing about with gauge. I don't know what was going on. I could not make gauge. Okay, back it up. I am using, whoops, unraveling. I am using the, I'm just gonna pull the ball. Starlette yarn, Mary Maxim Starlette yarn, worsted weight in the colors natural and red wine. And this is 100% acrylic, which I do have mixed feelings about. I'm not against acrylic, but I don't tend to use it that often. But why I chose this is because it can be machine washed and dried. And because of this is the plan to be in their living room, they have dogs. The dogs do get to sit on the furniture. They have, you know, it's just, I think it was an important factor. And a lot of non-acrylic yarn is not that way. There is superwash, which also is its own bag. You know, it's fine. So when it got here, it's not quite as soft as I had originally anticipated, but as I'm working it up, it does seem to be softening up. So I think once it's washed, it will soften up quite a bit. It is getting more of a halo as I work on it, but not much. Anyway, red wine, that's coming across kind of brown, but it is it's got a good red tone to it. And it will eventually fade, I guess, into, it's worked corner to corner, fade into mostly red. And then you add that cute little border. So this has been great. Once I got gauge, that's what I was talking about. I could not get gauge to save my life. I still don't have gauge, so I don't even know if it's going to be close to the correct dimensions. Anytime I would go larger hook to try and get row gauge, the stitch gauge would be way too big. So I would go down a hook to try and get stitch gauge, and then row gauge isn't even close. I don't know what's happening. I've tried crocheting tighter. I tried crocheting looser. Both of those, I guess ultimately maybe one of them could have fixed the problem, but I ended up giving up on those in the gauge swatch for the entire reason that I did not think I would be able to maintain a looser or tighter than my normal crochet stitch throughout the whole blanket. I just didn't think it was feasible to maintain it for the whole thing. So I just went with the recommended hook, size H, US, and started going. I think it was size H. Maybe I didn't have the right hook. Maybe that was the problem. No, it is size H or 8. So I was mostly in the white zone, finally got a red stripe, and then I had to put it aside because I wanted to finish that Campfire cardigan before I got into my next big crochet project, because I try to have a big knitting project, a small knitting project, and a crochet project, whatever size that may be. So I wanted to get the Campfire cardigan off, but I was too excited and started it anyway. So this hasn't had any work done on it for several days, probably 3 of the 5, and this is 2 days worth of work for me. Obviously not 2 solid days, but you know, I think it's going to be beautiful. I think it's going to fit the bill for what is needed. Was there anything else I wanted to say on this? No, I don't think so. So, the pattern is once you get going, so it was very fiddly here in the corner getting it started. I'm glad that I do have crochet knowledge because I was able to read the stitches. If I had done this earlier, I would have probably not gotten the corner right. Once you're in it, super easy to memorize, super easy to do, very beginner friendly. It's just that beginning corner is a little bit fiddly and counting your stitches and seeing where to put them. But once you're going, easy peasy, mindless crochet, back and forth, and it's going to look beautiful. It's comforting and soothing, which is what we need. So that is everything that's on my needles, except for I do have, and I'm not counting this as starting the project just yet, a swatch. So if you came here earlier, you will remember a while ago I acquired this yarn, Wolfell yarn. It is a blush fade, and the tag fell out, which is sitting in my living room, so I'm not gonna run and get it. I am doing a swatch with the recommended needle size because I'm going to be making the Circe. How would you say this? Anyway, I'm gonna post the name. How would you say this? Shirt, I'm calling it Circe. And then, I forgot what else I was gonna say with that. So I'm doing the swatch. I'm doing the recommended needle size, which feels really big because it's a fingering weight yarn. It is a wool silk blend. I believe it's Malabrigo and silk blend. This just feels, look at, and I know it's a summer tea type thing, but look how airy this is. I just started gauge swatching. I have a feeling this is gonna be too big. She does give the gauges after you block it. So I'm also not cutting my gauge swatch because I will need the yarn for the shirt. Now, here's one thing that I was going to consider is it does start in this pretty cream color, very much a cream, as not a white, and then it goes out darker and darker. Well, it's quite a ways. It does come out noodly. It does have quite a ways before it starts to turn pink, and this would be up near my neck. So I'm starting to think I might put the pink up at the top. What do you think? I might put the pink up at the top and work my way down, but then you have the white like down by your tummy. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I'm very on the fence about this. But anyways, that's not going to change my gauge swatch. Obviously, I'm going to continue on. I will keep working on getting gauge. But I just started this morning, so that's exciting. I'm gonna have the Circe shirt, but not on my needles yet. Gauge swatching, and here's how I feel about gauge swatching. I don't know. I sometimes just want to jump into the project, let it be what it is, and accommodate or rip out, because if I'm going to rip it out anyway, why am I doing a swatch instead of just starting the project? I do feel when you are knitting garments, which this is, it is fairly important to do a gauge swatch because fit matters, right? If you don't like how a garment fits, there's Kara, you're not going to wear it. And then you put in all that time, all that money into something that you're not going to wear. So what's the point? However, there are other things such as little crochet amigurumi dragons where unless you have a specific size you have to meet for a specific reason, why gauge swatch? If you like the colors, if you know it's going to be larger or smaller because the yarn is different, why bother? Just make it up. I don't know. It's a very mixed bag. Look, he's collecting all my progress keepers. Hoarding them, my little dragon hoarder. So, mixed bag. I also get very frustrated with things like the crochet swatch that I was doing where I couldn't meet gauge no matter what I was doing, and can't fix it? Like if I can't get gauge, how is this going to affect the blanket? Or if, let's say I can't get gauge on this for the shirt, how is that going to affect the shirt? Will that affect how I'm going to wear it? So and then you put all this time into gauge swatching, and it can make me personally very apprehensive about a project. So how do you feel about gauge swatching? I'm very on the fence and mixed about it. It can change my feelings about a project. I don't know. So that's everything that's on my needles. That's what I'm messing with right now. As far as gaming goes, I did have 2 games. We did play Agents of Edgewatch and Pathfinder, and we also played Tomb of Annihilation in D&D. And gosh, they were fun. I got to have shining moments in both of them this week. It's weird how those work out sometimes. Hydrangea, we were on a stakeout mission. We needed to get into a house and get some information. We weren't really sure how we were going to do it. We felt like we needed to be stealthy about it, that people wouldn't give us the information if we just asked. So I have, as Hydrangea, she is a bard investigator, or she's an investigator bard. There is a difference in Pathfinder. So she does have the ability to cast invisibility, and she also has an item which helps her fly. So it's like this bat wing cape. So she got bat wings. Little Batman Hydrangea flew to the roof of this building. Well, she cast invisibility first, which you stay invisible unless somebody is able to actively perceive you or is actively looking for you, then they can roll. So anyway, and the DM did roll because I guess everyone was on high alert in the house, but I got away with it. Yeah. So I went down the chimney because I am a halfling, so I was small enough to fit. I took Kavek's pet rat with me so that the rat could check things out, because they didn't want me to be alone, even though the pet rat wouldn't be able to do much if I had gotten into trouble. So I searched the room, I found some paperwork, I found how the room had gotten broken into. I guess I found all the information, or all the information that I could find with the rolls that I, had. Gathered that all up, peeked out the window a crack, and then cast, it's not Dimension Door, teleport, I think is what it was, back outside, and was able to walk back to my companions. Easy peasy. I don't know if we completely subverted a whole encounter, I don't know what the DM had planned. I don't know what we were supposed to do, but that's what we did. I'm just not sure. That's how that was supposed to go down. I don't even know if we were supposed to do it covertly, but we did. Then we ended up going to this other place and looking for other information. We ended up getting in a huge fight. So there was this poison that was in one of the ink wells, or in the wine. It's all getting confused now. And we saw who it came from, like not the poison necessarily, but the ink bottle. So we went to the place where the ink was sold, and we were like, oh, hey, we were just, wanting to buy some ink. We're still being covert. Excuse me. And then Pavel's like, I need to see your best ink, the best ink you've got. And the guy behind the counter got really sad and took Pavel into the back. The doors slammed shut, and then it started filling up these huge vats in what I picture like, the beer making vats, or distillery vats. That's what I envision. I don't know if that's true. Filling up with poison. So the shopkeeper died immediately. He was just a commoner. Pavel's in there alone. We're trying to break down the doors. Anyway, it was a huge fight. There was like a blob man. There were constructs. It was pretty epic. So we did end up winning. Some of it was very harrowing. Even Pavel ended up running, which he almost never does. And that's where we ended. We did level up, so hooray. I have to level up Hydrangea. I haven't done so yet. I'll get it done before the game. I'm sure of it. The next thing we played was Tomb of Annihilation, and that one, Galaith got her shining moment. We went into another tomb. Some red-robed wizards showed up and demanded that we give them our cubes, and we were like, no. The DM was like, does anyone want to try and defuse the situation? And if Hydrangea had been there, the answer would have been yes, but Galaith, being a barbarian, did not. So we entered into combat. It was ugly. We did not have the person who plays Kvekt. What is his character in this one? Skolo. We did not have Skolo there because he wasn't gaming that day. And then Walter tried to cast a spell with his Mizium apparatus, which is the special device that lets you cast spells that aren't in your normal repertoire, but you have to make a check. And if you fail the check, a different spell is cast and it affects that person. Some can be beneficial anyway, some aren't. But the one that affected him was Feign Death. So as far as anyone could tell, Walter just dies. This has happened before, so the team was like, maybe that's what happened again. He cast magic and just died, but we weren't sure. We weren't sure. And so Walter's out, Skolo's out. Like, this happened the second round of the fight. Walter went down. We've got me, Orasana, and Darwin. Darwin is our chaos player. He kept trying to cast Fireball, hopefully mitigating the thing, but he was counterspelled every single time, which I think was a little frustrating for him, but you know. So then they cast Fireball themselves, and our two players back there, Darwin and Orasana, aren't frontliners. They were pummeled, and of course Galaith takes full fire damage too. She was getting pummeled too, but they have less hit points. So they both went down. Luckily, Orasana got a sleep spell off. 3 of the, how many were there? 4, 5, 6, 7. 3 of the 7 people went to sleep. Thank goodness she got that off before she went down. I was alone. So Galaith was fighting these people. It was really close. Galaith's health points were really low, and we had a couple rounds where neither of us hit each other. Whew. And then Galaith finally got that winning blow in just enough. It was great. I know the DM eased up a little bit. He even said so at the end of the game, because that turned into a very deadly encounter very quickly. So we had people failing death saves. He let Orasana re-roll, and Darwin, like their final death save, and Darwin had lucky, so his character could just do it anyway. It was brutal. We had technically had no way to heal them, but because I was the only one there, Galaith can't heal. So he said that Galaith had some good berries still in her pocket, so I was able to give one to Darwin, and then Darwin could give one to Orasana. So the DM really let up on us, didn't make it. And I don't know how the other characters feel about that. I'm okay. Like, if Galaith dies, she dies, you make a new character. But I also understand not everybody feels that way. And sometimes there are some characters that I personally get attached to that it is not as fun if they die. So I fully understand. So it ended up working out. I know the DM took it easy on us, but it still felt like a huge victory and a shining moment for Galaith, which in all these other tombs, she's just kind of been there and just been kind of something to hit. So it was nice that she had her shining moment. It was pretty exciting. Do have a game tonight. Agents of Edgewatch. Should have my other game that's not streamed, and there goes Cardigan. And also should have my game of Tomb Annihilation. So it'll be a 3-game weekend next weekend. And as far as what I'm watching, I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos about, knitting and crocheting and just kind of deep diving into people that I haven't seen before, talking about speed of it, talking about ethics of it. Just, it's all been interesting. Nothing in particular, but, and then I've also been watching a lot of videos about gaming where I've been looking for cozy games that I would enjoy playing. I just found one recently called Monument Valley that I really enjoyed the puzzle aspect of that game. I also like, really my favorite puzzle game probably will always be Portal. But there are, and It Takes Two was a really good one. That was a co-op game that I really enjoyed, kind of a puzzler platformer. So I'm really deep diving into cozy games because those make me happy. They help me relax, not a lot of pain, not a lot of pressure. And I also am looking for good co-op games, not necessarily MMOs, not necessarily shooters. I'm terrible at shooters. So bad. But puzzling, cooperative type games, things like It Takes Two. I did start playing Ship of Fools, which has been pretty funny and entertaining. But yeah, so I've been kind of looking into those, trying to find some. I found one that was called Kiwi. Looks cute. That's a cooperative. Anyway, if you have any that you enjoy that you consider a cozy game, like I said, as far as what I consider cozy games, puzzles are fine. I'm not super into the farming ones. Sorry if you are. I'm just not. So, cozy puzzles, it's kind of mostly what I'm into, but also adventures or some platforming. As long as it's cozy platforming, not hardcore platforming. And co-op games. If you have any that you enjoy, or if you like doing that, let me know. So I've been watching a lot of that. And then I was also watching the Celine Dion documentary, which is incredibly sad. I adore her as a singer. It is just hard to see what she's going through now. It's a documentary on her current life. It does dip into a tiny bit into her past, but it's mostly about what she's going through now. And it can be hard to watch sometimes. Just letting you know, if you're into that. I adore her. Her singing voice was always something that I aspired to when I was still singing. I never got there. Not even close. But she was my idol and someone that I looked up to. So, yeah, hard to watch. Also, I was watching, I haven't watched it in the past couple days, but Sweet Tooth, which is a fantasy and asks a lot of moral and ethical questions. It keeps me very engaged. But one thing I love in this show is there are a ton of handmade knit looking items. I don't know if they are actually handmade, but they look like it. And I love it. It's like little Easter eggs, all plastered throughout the show. So absolutely love it. I do enjoy the story. I am invested, but I think that's the best part is all the knits in it. Very inspiring. Might need to do a little Sweet Tooth knits. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me. That's what I've been up to. That's what I'm doing. I do have doctor's appointments coming up this week and next. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Anyway, happy knitting, happy gaming. Thank you so much for joining me. I don't know why I keep doing that. I'm just excited that you're here. Talk to you later. Goodbye.